Find me in the spot where the floppies be. Till I give it a read, keep it crisp in the sleeve. Every Tuesday night feels like Christmas Eve. Living between Wednesdays.
What's up, folks? I'm your host, Konrad, on Wednesday Night Reviews, and I'm joined today by Laurie, and we're going to talk about their new book, Path of the Pale Rider. Laurie, thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
Glad to hear it. My first easy question, some people say it's hard, but I think it's easy. Laurie, who is Laurie Calcaterra?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I am a lifelong martial artist and comic book writer.
Okay.
Weird combination, but it comes into like my story of how I got into comics.
You know what? Tell me the story. How'd you do it?
It's my origin story.
Yeah.
So I started training martial arts in 1997, and I'm in Indonesian and Filipino martial arts, just for anybody who's curious. And I became a teacher in 2001. I have a lot of martial art friends, and we decided in about 2017 we were going to start choreographing fight scenes for a production company in Detroit. So there was 3 of us that started this fight team, which quickly grew into a lot of different people. It was a lot of fun because what we would offer to the production company is like, hey, do you need a fight? What style do you want? Do you want a jiu-jitsu fight? Do you want a Muay Thai fight? Do you want a knife fight? You know, what style are you looking for? Because I knew all of those people, having been in martial arts for so long.
Oh, okay.
I had this huge community to kind of pick and choose from. So we would train the talent. We would teach them how to fall down. We would fill in for the stunts. So like we were falling down. We would fill in any kind of way that they needed. So I wrote a short film called Catfishing that myself and 2 other people from our team acted in. It was kind of our visual resume. So
Okay.
It was like 7 minutes of fighting. And now
Nice.
if you haven't done production before, 7 minutes of just pure fighting is very long, and it's hard to film. It took us, 3 nights of filming, lots of work, lots of rehearsals, lots of scouting locations, all of that. So the production company liked what I was doing and asked me to continue writing for them. So then I started writing web content. So
Okay.
I wrote a series called The Agency, which was like heavy martial arts, but like spy, espionage, traitors, twists and turns. I wrote 12 issues of that. We actually filmed the pilot back in 2017. But it took a while. They had other projects. By the time it was time for reshoots, I actually relocated to Texas.
Oh.
So it never really took off. Like, sometimes in my Facebook memories, the ads for the agency pop up, which is so cool because it's like, I'm real intense and I'm like shooting a gun and like police in the background, right? It'll never see the light of day, which is terrible, but that's what happens in production all the time. But I got the writing bug. And I had this idea that turned into Path of the Pale Rider, which is what would happen if death got broken and we were all stuck here on the same planet, not able to transition or move on. So I created the world and I wrote this gigantic script, and it was too big for the production company that I was with. We couldn't handle it. Right?
Yeah.
But all along this time, I've been reading comics. I've been reading comics since I was in high school. So, start out with DC, like Batman, Spider-Man, got into the Watchmen, Star Wars, found Image, and then it was like Robert Kirkman, everything, Invincible, Walking Dead, Oblivion Song. Like he has some really Outcast. There's some really good ones, right? Then it was like Saga, East of West, all sorts of, so when I wrote this script, I really had no idea what to do with it. And the production company was telling me, pitch it to Netflix. That's how big it is. It's Netflix budget. Okay. I had no idea how to do that. It's so difficult to do. So I was like, there's got to be a different way that I can tell my story visually and build a following and can be able to maintain creative control. And comic books was, my husband read the script. I finally let him read it. It's one of those, like, you know what I mean? When you're really hardcore nerding out and your spouse is also, they're not quite as nerdy as you. So it's like, you could read it, but I might,
Yeah.
by your reaction. He loved it, and he was like, "This is the comic book," and I was like, "Why didn't I think of that?" Right?
Yeah.
So we started moving comic book direction in 2020. I had 2 other artists involved prior to Marco DeFillo, and of course, the pandemic happened and everything crashed and burned.
Yeah. Yeehaw.
Story of everybody's life, right? Took a year off, 2021. I spent a lot of time contemplating if I really wanted to do it, because now it's like I got my feet wet and I could see it was going to be a lot of work, right? I met Marco DeFillo on Facebook in a group called Connecting Comic Book Writers to Artists in 2020 in January.
Okay.
He and I hit it off. His style looks great for what I was trying to do. He had done other apocalypse themed books. So I was just like, this is it, dude. And he liked what I brought to the table, and here we are. So we self-published our first issue in July of 2022. We had a Kickstarter in March. I would think, thankfully, was ignorant about what I was doing, still managed to succeed. But now that I have, again, more experience in indie and looking back at what we were able to accomplish in our first issue, nobody does that. It was insane what we did. So we actually raised over $5,000 for a brand new issue that no one's ever heard of, which was amazing. And then issue number 2, we Kickstarted in September of last year. So 2022, we did issue number 2. And so we're back again for issue number 3. We're Kickstartering right now, and it goes through April 19th. That's where we're at.
And if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I did check in on it, I'm fairly certain you've already hit like the funded mark, if I'm not mistaken, right?
We did. Our goal was the same as the first campaign, so it was $45.50. We haven't raised it. So we hit that in about 7 days. And now we're hitting stretch goals. We hit the first stretch goal, which is 8 PDF indie comics, which is awesome. I've had people come on that do like $5 PDF, and they get 8 extra PDF comics with that. So that's amazing. You get 9 comics for $5. What a steal.
Gotta love it.
Right?
Yeah, you know what? We've kind of gotten a little ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I love it. For the folks out there, what is Path of the Pale Rider?
I love this. So I love getting to a new audience because the shock and awe factor. So Path of the Pale Rider is a Western apocalypse comic book series where death is broken. And I kind of mentioned that, but it's not your typical zombie genre, So what happens is your body can die, but your soul, your consciousness, your energy, whatever you want to call that makes up you, it doesn't leave your body upon death. So you get to hang out and enjoy your own decay phase. Your brain literally rots in your skull, which makes you forgetful, violent, chaotic, undetached. So, you become dangerous to not only yourself, but to the people around you. I mirror like dementia or brain, like cognitive decay. Okay. So you're still you're not trying to eat people, but you might run them over with your car because you forgot.
Interesting. That's such a cool take on it. Because classic zombies, they just become these things that want to eat you.
Right.
But going through that angle of like you said, basically it's dementia, it's neurodegeneration, but to the nth extreme, to the point where your body's rotting. That's interesting. How did you come up with that?
I don't know. It's just kind of like, that was the light bulb turned on. Like, what would happen if we were all stuck here together? Like, your body could die, but your soul didn't leave. And what would the world look like if death broke? So it's not just people, it's animals, insects, fish. Nothing can die correctly anymore. It creates a whole list of problems. We have overpopulation. Of course, with people, now we have all these ethical problems, like, when do you lose your rights? Because in this world, when you die, you can no longer own property or vote or drive or have firearms, right?
Yeah.
So you're still you, but for how long are you you? And when do those rights disappear? Right?
Huh.
So okay, I'm going to give you a little hint. The government kind of does this overstep. So there's all sorts of chaos that happens. We have riots, we have unrest. The government comes in and basically says, as soon as your heart stops beating, that's it. You lose your rights.
You're done. You're dead. Yeah.
Right. We still consider you dead because you don't have a heartbeat. What happens to that family, like a single mom with 2 kids? The mom is undead. She owns the property. Where do they go?
Huh. I mean, Child Protective Services would be the leap there. Or not leap, but the conclusion.
Right? But where do they go? And then what happens if we switch it? What if one of the children is undead? And remember, they're themselves. They're going to, what? Take them out of the house because they're dangerous?
That's so...
That's
dark, but it's fascinating. Right? That is such a cool philosophical way to go through it and think about it.
So we have this growing population that's dangerous, right? I've created technology. So they wear this item called a disc that amplifies the heartbeats, kind of like the new driver's license. You got to wear it, and they can come tap it. It amplifies your heartbeat, the sound, and it blinks green with your heartbeat when it's beating, or it flatlines red when you're undead. But it's technology, so they're hacking them.
Yeah, really.
So I take a real world approach to how we address this. Like food, I eat meat. Cows also become undead.
Oh,
so they don't want to be butchered, right? How do you butcher a large animal that is not willing to participate? Huh. And will that meat still move while you're trying to eat it?
Interesting. You get to draw some very fun and weird lines. I like that, Laurie.
We can go as dark as you want.
Well, to keep it light and entertaining,
okay.
We started this conversation with your background in martial arts.
Yeah.
And now we've gotten to this very interesting philosophical place about death and rights and undeadness. Beyond martial arts, do you have an education in philosophy, or where did that come from? Because that's super cool.
I have a degree in fine arts. I'm actually a metalsmith by trade. So I make jewelry, I make costumes, I can blacksmith, I'm a painter, photographer, that stuff. However, when I got out into the real world, didn't really use my art degree very much, ended up working in finance. So did that for a long time. But that sets me up to be successful when I'm running my own Kickstarter campaigns and stuff like that. But I love the art aspect because I'm able to pull artists that I see doing something different, but I'm still able to have that communication with them where they send in sketches and I can see what they're doing. You know what I mean? And we can talk about technique or color schemes and what we're trying to convey. So it gives me the opportunity to communicate on a deeper level with the artists, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're absolutely right. The irony here. So my partner, she, like yourself, she has her BA in fine arts, master's in intermediate art, IAMD, intermediate art, media, and design, or integrated, art, media, and design.
Okay.
So she's into all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
Right now, actually, she's down in Alabama for SLOS, which is the giant cast iron conference.
Cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So yeah, no, I totally agree. You having a more thorough and deeper understanding of art principles, stuff that I don't have the vocabulary for, you have, which is great. Because then you can, like you said, you can actually really talk to the artist, you can understand it better, which can go a long way in making sure that the book turns out how you want it.
Right.
So I have a question now. Having read, you sent my way the first 2 issues, which were really good. And I do want to talk about Marco's art. It is Marco, correct?
Correct. Marco DeFillo is a penciler, inker. He did the colors in issue 2. He always does our A covers. He's amazing. Such great work.
Yeah, solid book. Question just left my brain. I guess when I read the books, it followed a central protagonist on their path to locate a person.
Right.
And I don't want to get. Well, I mean, I suppose you're kickstarting volume.
We can do spoilers. Spoiler alert, people. Okay, so fast forward. We'll say when we're done spoiling. I don't know.
Yeah. So start fast forwarding now, and when I do this, you're good.
Right. Okay.
So in the first 2 issues, we're following a lone rider and his horse going through
the apocalypse. It's like the wasteland, right?
The wasteland, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's wasteland. There's dead things and there's living things that are not too nice out there. And he's trying to locate someone. So you've mentioned stuff that, like the heart monitor, that I've not really seen in the book, or at least I didn't notice it if it did. So you have this far more expanded world.
Yes.
I guess my question is, can you talk a little bit about so far the protagonist of the book, and also what they're doing in this destroyed world?
In the first 2 issues?
Yeah.
Okay. So our protagonist's name is Jude St. Clair. In the very beginning of the first book, he does activate his disc. It would be much more memorable once we go back and color issue 1, but issue 1 right now is black and white. And for those of you that are collectors, go grab, issues 1, 2, or campaigns 1, 2, and 3. We're reprinting that black and white, but once we get to issue 4 and we do a trade, it's going to be in color, and that black and white won't be available anymore. But I digress. So there's that scene where he meets the kid. Yeah. Remember, the kid runs by and he's like, tap it. He tells him to activate his disc. So in the story, it turns green. So Jude knows that the kid is alive, and that's important to him, so he knows who he's dealing with. Because the undead, even though they can be friendly, can also be unpredictable. So he could ask questions and maybe not get the answers he's looking for. He just wants to know exactly who he's dealing with. Yeah. So issue 1 is very much about Jude and learning who he is by seeing the decisions that he makes in the wild. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing the world torn apart. You're seeing like the cars upside down, the buildings falling apart. You see him ask for directions. You see wolves kind of try to eat him and his horse. But that moment where he looks up at the stars and it's like, there's no light pollution anymore. And he's seeing the Milky Way. Yeah. And he's taking that second to appreciate the beauty that is still in the world. And that says a lot about who he is. He has a journal. He's keeping notes. We're going to see that come back a few times.
Okay.
And he has this great relationship with his horse. She's his Roach to his Geralt, right? If you're a fan of The Witcher, that's the horse, right? That's Roach, where he can have conversations with her. She is his world. She carries him everywhere. They go through a lot of dicey places, and her full name is Diana Prince, which he tells a small child who is trying to offer the horse apples, but they don't have any. So you kind of get to see Jude make all these decisions. He's on the road. He makes a bad decision, which ultimately causes the undead bear, Big James, to wake up. And you're going to see Big James a lot. He's kind of become like the unofficial mascot of the series. People love him. He's like Cocaine Bear. I don't know. It was like he shows up once and like destroys Jude's day. Like terrible stuff that happens at the end of number 1. And then people are like, yeah, Big James. Okay. So what happened?
Greatest villain you've ever written. Totally unintentional.
Yes. I was like, I guess I got to write him back in more.
Oh yeah.
He does make an appearance in number 3. So
good to know.
So right. So at the end of all this terrible stuff that happens at 1, you still see Jude pick himself up by his bootstraps, put his hat back on, and say, I hope this guy is worth it that I'm looking for, because he just giant cost of looking for him, right?
Massive.
Truly massive. And then issue number 2, he's in this town of Santa Claus, which is a real place in Arizona. It's a
is it
ghost
actually?
town. Yeah, you can. I have this running thing that if someone actually goes to Santa Claus, Arizona, and takes a picture in front of the sign, I'm gonna send them all my books for free. Do it. I want to see it, and that's on my bucket list too, to get to like the street sign that says Santa Claus, Arizona. Not a nice town. I have a cover. Let me show you from issue 2 that kind of sums up Santa Claus, and it's very contradicting. This is our Christmas cover. It's a Christmas tree with zombie parts on it, and it says "Welcome to Santa Claus." But again, it's like the most unwelcoming image you could have or see when you're going to a town. It's almost like, don't mess up, we'll stick you on the tree, right?
Interestingly, though, like in the context of the story you've created and the world you've built, that could be a very specific warning to a specific set of people, whereas everyone else is fine. It's so interesting.
Right, and that's the only reason why Jude can go in there. And when you go into this town, you see what they're doing with these people. And one of them is trying to talk to him. Yep. Did you see that? Where they're like, help me,
Yeah.
They can still talk. It's bad. So Jude's in this town. Obviously, they're not nice to the undead. Are they going to be nice to the living is the question. And right off the jump, the guy is there.
Yep.
So the guy that he was looking for in 1 is there. And it's not anything like he was expecting. He's just like, damn it, like like here's this guy. He does something interesting. If you really look into what's happening, right from the get, this guy is drunk and gets thrown into the drunk tank, right? Mm-hmm. So everything after that, Jude plans. So he goes into this poker game. I don't think he planned to lose all his money. I mean, it would be great if he got to keep his money, but he definitely picked the fight.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were going to kick him out of town. The only way that he was going to get to talk to Dwayne is if he got tossed in, right? Yeah. So we get to see living people with Jude. They're all wearing their discs. There's a giant fight. It's glorious. Most of that was choreographed by me, but Marco threw in some really cool things. Yes, the card game, Jude St. Clair swearing at people with sign language. That's a thing.
Yeah, that's so cool. I actually appreciate, by the way, the hand, not infographics, but the illustrations of each hand signed so people could understand it. That was cool.
Yeah. So you're going to see more of that as well. You're going to see the explanation for that in issue 3. So issue 2, we kind of leave off where he's with Dwayne, but he doesn't get anything answered. And then I drop you into the past, right? So now we're back at the beginning, and you get to see Jude wearing an EMT uniform, which is where we're headed to next. So I don't know if you want to do this.
Yeah,
this is the end of the spoiler.
Now we're good. No more spoilers. Interesting. Like it's fascinating to me because you've taken what someone could very easily go, oh, it's a Walking Dead ripoff, right? Because they could see Jude and go, oh, that's Rick Grimes. But it's like, no, it's in the function of how Jude operates. He's a very different person. The world itself is very different. Like, there's not as much human living on living well, I guess that's not exactly true, but it's not as like prejudicial maybe, where as long as you've got the green light, people will at least talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I'm really enthralled with, so I'm very excited for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for the folks out there who maybe if they've heard this, or if they've been, because we've been chatting for about 24 minutes here, if people are like, all right guys, shut up and tell me how to get it, how can they give you their money? What's the best way?
Well, right now we are Kickstartering. We're crowdfunding for issue number 3. That's the best place to go, because you're going to have access to not only the A cover from Marco DeFillo, but all sorts of variants that I don't always reprint those after the campaign is over. We try to keep those scarce because the people that show up for the Kickstarter and back those are expecting some level of collectability and scarcity, right? There's a couple of them I have to keep printing because they're so amazing and everybody's going to want them, but some of them were not. If we're outside of campaign, I do have a website. It's just www.pathofthepalerider.com. I have a store set up, excuse me, where you can purchase all the things that I have in stock, and I update it quite frequently so you can see. I think my issue 2s are on sale right now because I just got them. So if anybody's interested in purchasing another issue 2, they're marked down. So go grab one. But issue 3, we have all sorts of really cool stuff on the Kickstarter right now that you're not going to want to miss. Like Funko Pops. I don't produce the Funko Pops outside of the Kickstarter. We have samples of hot sauce. We have the Choose Your Own Adventure book as an add-on. We have, I have a secret reward that if you love what I'm talking about, you're going to want this. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I hand make all the secret rewards. It's not anything that I can buy. I literally make them from scratch. My last campaign, the secret reward was called the Bones of Despair. Okay. So in this world, when you die, obviously you don't move on, but you can be a pile of bones, and guess what? You don't get to leave. You're still in your bones.
Oh.
It's permanent. Until
fascinating.
So hopefully we can find an answer. Maybe we can get back to the way we were before, but maybe not. So what I was thinking is, this is kind of warped, I'm sorry, but I built this wooden box, and inside of this box is a glass jar, and inside of the glass bottle is ashes and bones. They're fake bones. I can't legally ship remains in the United States. Okay, so they're made out of clay, but they look real. And there's a poem that's wood burned into the box where it talks about death is missing and decay has kind of taken its place. But if you put a seashell to your ear, can you hear it like, the ocean? But if you put bones to your ear, can you hear the souls of the damned inside? So that's what this box is. It's wicked. I did all sorts of cool stuff to it. So it's a one-of-a-kind thing. You will never find it anywhere else. The one I'm making for this campaign is cooler than that.
Damn. All right.
So it's just a little tease. It's a little bit higher of a tier, but you're not going to regret it. You get every single copy of the book with the variant covers, and you get this awesome thing that you will be able to wear, and it's functional. So I'll just leave it at that. I had one person back it so far because they were brave, and I'm so excited to make these. I'm only making 4, so I got 3 left.
Three to go. Awesome. Yeah. That, you know what? Talking about costs and things. One thing that I like to do is, in order to alleviate people's tensions, right? Because some people have never backed a Kickstarter before. They don't know the process. They don't understand, how the whole thing works. Mm-hmm. For the folks out there, what is the I always like to ask, what's the minimum cost for like just the PDF copy? And then like, what's the cost of, say, like one of your higher end packages?
Okay. So PDF starts at $5. There is very little risk at this point because we've already funded. We've already met our goal. So that means anything that you, the viewer, are backing is guaranteed. Like, you're going to get it. I'm fulfilling my second campaign now. You're going to get your books, and you're going to get whatever rewards you're looking for. Guaranteed. So $5 gets you in the door. I love PDF backers. They're the first people to be able to read the story, and I get reactions right away, right? I have a catch-up tier for PDF that's $8, and I got yelled at because I put it. My friends in India are like, "You're making us look bad," and I was like, "It's $8," and they're like, "Ours are 10," and I'm like, "So what?" Like I did 8. Like they're just like, "Raise it next time." Okay, guys, calm down. So $8, gets you the PDF for 1, 2, and 3.
Nice.
Not to mention, we've already hit our first stretch goal where we unlocked 8 more PDFs of indie comics. So you get 8 additional other comics for $5. You can have 9 for $8. You can have 11 comics, which is unheard of. It's unheard of. So that's kind of, the cheapest tier. The most expensive tier I have available right now is I believe the 170. No, I have the Funko Pop. I have two left of Big James. So I have these custom made. Here's the first one.
Oh, shut up! That's so cool.
The guy that does these is amazing because he loves my project. He makes Funko Pops all the time, and he's usually making them as like cake toppers, and he's sick of dealing with bridezillas. He hates them. So he puts extra love into my project. So I have this guy, and this is cool. He changes the cover on everyone. So this came out with issue 1. It's number 1. So you're going to see that. Big James has the second cover. He's giant. One of my backers got him last campaign. I always do one of the new Funko, and then I'll release him for everybody else on the next campaign. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So she got the one Big James, and it's a white box. It's called the Singularity. So she's getting that again this time for the new Funko. But everybody else is getting Big James, and he's so big, he's 2 pieces. His whole head comes off. He's held together by magnets. He's so flipping cool. So if you are into Funko Pops, there's still some Big James. I think there's 2 that are still available. My God, go get him, because after this campaign, we're never doing him again. And we'll have all people left. So get the freaking Big James one. I think with that tier, you also get a Big James t-shirt. You get comics. Like, we got Big James covers. We got all the Big James things you could possibly want if you're a fan. So there's that. There's the secret reward. That's $175. It's only so much because I got to order parts and put it together. It takes a little time. There's a Marco DeFillo original art level, which is so cool. He'll draw whatever you want. He will pencil and ink it, and you get the original. Some of that money does go to pay him, just so you're aware. Yeah, we got hot sauce. Where's my hot sauce? Look at this. I got a Big James hot sauce.
I love it.
Path of the Pale Sauce. Amazing. It's really good. It does have some ghost pepper in it, so there's a little bit of a bite, but it's not too bad. If I can have it, everybody can have it, but it's like good on fried chicken and pulled pork and Bloody Marys, all that good stuff. So I'll be making some more of this. Yeah, we got all sorts of cool stuff out there. Definitely go check it out. All the variant covers are beautiful. I can't show you in right now, but dude,
I'll have images come up.
Oh my God, like the Big James one that's yellow and red and black.
Yeah.
Amazing. The riot one that Angelo Aquino did with the protester. So again, we're going to see a lot of those riots and the unrest happening in the 3rd issue. I think they cover 5 years of the apocalypse in issue 3. 5 years of it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so then
sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, I love it. Next question.
Right.
From the start of the apocalypse, which sounds like it might start in issue 3, or at least we see it.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It starts on March 5th, 2020. It's my birthday.
Oof. Oh God. Okay. So from that date until how long has it been since we meet Jude in the 1st issue?
10 years.
A decade.
Years. Yeah. Okay. I'll have little boxes. Like I think on page 1, there's a box that says 10YA, and then in parentheses it says 10 years into the apocalypse. So you're going to see that's my kind of nomenclature is 10YA. So we're going back to 1YA. We're going all the way back to the day it started, and you'll get to see how quickly things just fall apart, man. It's bad.
Love it. Okay, let me real quick here. There we go. Because I had a specific question I wanted to ask you. I feel like, given you've mentioned you're doing, before you collect it, it's going to have 4 issues, which are then going to get collected. So I'm assuming that'll be later this year. Will you run 2 campaigns this year?
Yes, we will. We will definitely do an issue 4 this year. We brought on a colorist. So issues 1 and 2 is just Marco and myself. We brought on a colorist for issue 3, so that should help us with some time. Her name is Marta Gasparoni. So all the preview pages that you see for issue 3 on the Kickstarter campaign are done by her. The interior pages. Nice. So that should speed us up quite a bit. Because Marco pen and ink, he's pretty quick. But then he always, he has to go back and color. So it's an additional 3-4 weeks for him to color, just depending on the complexity of the issue. But if he finishes pages and they go directly to Marta, and I could start lettering based off of his black and white pages, we're going to pick up, some.
You'll fly through.
We're going to start rolling downhill. Yeah. So we should be starting sooner than later. It just depends on how long it takes us to fulfill. But we will definitely run 4 this year.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. You guys are going to hate me.
Actually, you know what? In my experience, that's better. What I have noticed is a lot of people who buy comics like stuff like, here we go, Batman. And Batman comes out with such regularity that you're guaranteed every month, if not more, you're going to get a Batman book, which lets you just be like, calm in. I can buy my comic, I can read it next month, I'll get my next copy, and blah,
right.
blah, blah. I have found, and I believe it is a detriment, and in the world of indie comics, in the world of, Laurie, I imagine yourself, you probably have a full-time job, plus you write comics and do all these podcasts and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that a lot of work goes into making a comic. Like, I know that this part that you're doing now, the promotion, the talking to people, that's its own job. Then you have the writing part, and then you have your day job that helps you, pay for your bills and stuff. To manage all that is just crazy. So what I have found is it ends up being a lot of people do one comic this year, one comic next year. And I believe, and I hate to say it, I think that's a detriment, because people want their story. They want the next bit. They want it now. Mm-hmm. Ideally, they want all of it, but I appreciate doing a Kickstarter for 4 issues, 6 issues, 12 issues is crazy.
Yeah.
So honestly, I've seen a lot of people be successful in pumping out a Kickstarter every 4 months or so, which sounds like roughly what you're doing. So keep it.
We would like to. We had a little snafu with issue number 2 with the printing. Our book was done in January, but the print job didn't get completed. There was all sorts of issues. I don't really want to go into detail because it was painful. But it's resolved, thank God. Oh. But that slowed us down. I was ready to launch again in February, and then I pushed back to the beginning of March, and then I pushed back again to the end of March. And finally, I was like, guys, I can push back again because 2 isn't fulfilled, or I can launch and it'll get fulfilled sometime probably in the middle of campaign. But the longer we wait, we're going to have a harder time getting to that next one. Yeah. It's really difficult to run a campaign on Kickstarter at the end of the year. People don't want to spend money. They're saving for Christmas. Yep. So I wanted to run, hopefully August or September would be great. But I really don't want to run in October because that's fourth quarter. And it's hard. It's hard to do. So, and overall, the fans were like, we know that you're communicating with us, every step of the way. Let's launch. And I was like, all right. So we did. And being funded in 7 days was the fastest that we've ever been funded.
Congratulations.
So, right? So I guess it didn't stop everybody from, coming. Did it stop some people from coming back? Maybe. Unfortunately, when you have printer issues, it's just out of your hands, and you do what you can to communicate, and that's all you can do. So,
yeah, I feel sorry for people in the printing business because
sure, it's terrible.
I'm certain they're trying their best. I'm certain that like one thing goes wrong and a whole print run of books is just scrap, and that sucks. But like at the same time, right, as a creator, as a consumer of comics, it must be for you it must be annoying when you get delays. I know for me as a reader, when I walk into my shop and I'm expecting a certain issue to be there and it's not, it's like,
where is it? Right.
Right. And then now no one's having fun, right? All the way back to the printer who now goes, oh crap. So like I feel sorry for printers, but at the same time, it's stressful and
it sucks. And I dislike talking bad about anybody. Like you said, I'm not a printer, so I don't know all the things that go into it.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate, but we're past it. So at least I can say I did that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, you're, in the beginning in 2020, it's like you have artists involved and then they quit. And you're like, okay, check that box. Like, what other? I'm still going, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, I'm determined to get this book out and I'm determined to get this story out. I would love to run 4 comics a year. That's our goal. We're going to try this year because of what happened, we're going to do 2. We would like to get to 3 and then I'm pushing for 4. We'll see. 4 is hard. Every 3 months is a difficult turnaround, but if our team can do it, we will. And of course, what helps with that is the crowdfunding. If we can blow our goal out of the water, then I have funds to keep these artists working continually. We don't have to stop when we have to Kickstarter, which is what's happening now. It's like my artists are professional artists. Marco DeFillo, this is all he does, is he's an artist. Marta is the same. So if I'm not paying them to work, guess what? Someone else is. Yep. And then I have to wait for them to become available. Story of life. So if I continually have work for them, great. You can get the Path of the Pale Rider 6, 7, and 8 a lot quicker. 8 is my favorite. I know we were talking for the first time, but issue number 8, I'm telling you guys, when we get there, there's no turning back. You will be floored. And then, of course, right after 8, it takes a hard left turn. Things start to change. And so when I wrote it, remember, it's a full-length movie. It's a script because that's where I came from. So if you're thinking about it in like a Netflix season, because that's easy to think about, it's 13 episodes of season 1. Season 2 starts, and there's a season 3. Season 2 is 100 times crazier than the first one. So you're getting to know like the world and how it works, and follow Jude St. Clair on his mission, and blah 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 blah. He does figure it out. He does figure out what broke Death. Okay. Once he figures it out, it becomes a whole lot crazier, and that's where we get into like season 2. Things are nuts, and you think you know what's coming. You have no idea what's coming.
I love it, Laurie.
Blow everything up.
So let me ask you, like you said, you had it written as a script.
Yeah.
Now, I appreciate there's a fair bit of similarity between a script, screenplay, and a comic book. Like, there's differences, but like structurally, you can morph it.
Right.
Given you had, from the get-go of your creating comics journey, you had this whole script. How much is written? Like, you've mentioned now 3 seasons of 13 episodes or issues a pop. Do you have 39 issues of comics like written, or is it like
26?
26. Nice.
I'm at 26. I got stuck at a fight. I figured out what I need to do to get out of there. It's a challenge because there's one character that I could have taken either way. So she's kind of at a crossroads. So I had to decide what I was going to do there. I figured it out. I just haven't had time to go dump it on paper, right? Once I get that out, I think that's 9. And I think season 2 has 12 issues. Nice. So 9, 10, 11, 12 will happen very fast because I blow lots of stuff up. So great twist ending. Will knock your socks off. I'm so excited. Like Mad Max level destruction.
It's like that's so cool.
Studying how to craft a battle. You know what I mean? Like watching episodes like Battle of the Bastards and on Game of Thrones, and like the battles in Pirates of the Caribbean around the Maelstrom, stuff like that. Like, how did they craft this memorable battle, right? So I'm talking about that big in the story. So it'll be fun.
Yet keeping all that chaos visually sorted in a way that it makes sense.
Right, because it's like when you're crafting a battle, it's almost like you still have to follow the character, and they have to make decisions which then impact the battle. So it's not just things happening to them, it's how they react to the things, which will then change how the battle happens. But you got to have a twist in there somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. So again, not to get ahead of ourselves, because
sorry,
all of that sounds amazing, and I love the passion, and clearly you've got the drive to do this. You're working on your well, it's funded. So your third successful campaign. We'll see a fourth one later this year.
Yep.
You've mentioned collecting it. So do you believe for the next campaign, it'll be, you could have it in the comic format or graphic novel or both? Like, what was your intent there?
We're probably going to produce one more floppy. So 4 will be a floppy. But then once the art is complete, we'll go back and color 1.
Oh, okay.
Right? And then release it as a collection, as a trade paperback.
Nice.
That's the intention. Could it change? Sure. I mean, if we get through this, we're halfway through campaign. We're at like 114%. If like a landslide of money comes in and we end up at like 10,000, could we do it next campaign? Sure.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I doubt that like we're getting another $5,000 after
It'll
today.
happen.
I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? With the way you're going, clearly what I find interesting is clearly you've got a fan base. Like you said, you've had people returning. That's amazing. Because that's what like a lot of the companies that, help make comics are like. So who knows? Maybe next time we talk, it'll be, Laurie, Path of the Pale Rider issue, whatever, from Scout Comics. Who knows?
Right. And I mean, we do pitch. We pitch all over the place. I'm currently with a local publisher named Charter Comics. So I freelance. They do help in a lot of different aspects, but they're not as big as like an Image Comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're so supportive where they're like, hey, if you get an image, we'll pat you on the back as you sign your contract. Good job. Like,
love it.
But we haven't touched on some of the other stuff. We should talk about that before we run out of time.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Do you want to talk about the riddles or the short films?
I think the short films, because that'll be the easiest thing that people can just go and, like, they can go now and check this stuff out. So, for the folks out there in YouTube land who've never yet heard of Path of the Pale Rider, just Google that. And you will learn that it is far more than just a comic book. It is, in fact, I believe your wording on this, Laurie, was a multimedia experience.
That's right.
What do you mean? What is that?
So okay, let me back up. So the world is so big, right? And we're telling the story from a singular point of view, from Jude St. Clair's kind of focal point. So if he doesn't see it in the comic, I can't really show you guys all the other cool stuff that's happening, right? So we decided very early on that we were going to give other ways for people to interact with the world or to see the cool things that are happening that Jude just can't show you. So one of the things that we did was start doing short films. And I mean, I come from production. It made sense, to just continue that. So issue 1, we filmed a commercial for the undead retirement community. And it's pretty neat because you can see, like, it starts out looking like commercial for a retirement community, like where old folks go, right? You never see anybody's face, though. And then as it goes on, it gets interrupted by this other feed. So we filmed a riot scene with the shooting. We lit things on fire. We did all sorts of cool stuff. And those are all people that are involved with Path of the Pale Rider as fans. There's an artist that's in there. Cool. So it's fan interactive, right? So that was the first one. The second one, issue 2, since we're so early in the story, nobody has any idea what broke death yet. Perfect time. We tackled conspiracy theories. So I dressed up as a reporter. I went around and interviewed fans. They could email in footage where they were talking about conspiracy theories, so I could get them in the film. So there's a ton of people, a ton of fans that are in this one telling me what they think broke death, and they were allowed to say whatever they wanted.
Oh, that's so cool.
So, and if they wanted to participate, I guaranteed they would be in it. Right. Yeah. So there's that one. I do a stunt at the end where I got run over by a car. So if you want to see me get like smashed by a car, go watch that one. It's really funny. Like, you keep watching and it keeps building. And then at the end, there's like several reveals, and then there's me getting smashed by a car. So it's kind of fun. I am currently working on the third short film. it's about 90% done. I have a couple shots that are missing that I need my husband to help me with. And I've been so busy. You know, he works during the day. I work, you know, usually in the evening. So our schedules just don't line up. But it will get done, and it will be on the YouTube and on the Kickstarter. It's a horror. It's a psychological horror. It's called Call to Action.
Yep.
And it's a play on words because there is a call to action that happens in the film. And then, so there's this really creepy, it reminds me of The Ring is what I've mirrored it after. Okay. So something pops up on the TV, and after that pops up, like weird stuff starts to happen. Okay. But also in the first half, this lady is holding like a dinner party, and people keep calling and canceling. So the phone keeps ringing, right? And people are like, I'm not coming. And she's like, what? You know, like, how dare you cancel? You're the third person and they're like, are you watching the news? And she's like, I don't care what's happening on the news. Like, I'm trying to cook for 12 people and no one's coming. Like, she's all upset about the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? When clearly something is happening and people are like, pay attention. She don't care. She'll soon find out what's happening because it starts to happen to her as well. But I had several people that participated in that one. I had 2 kind of different levels that people could do. So if they wanted to do film, I had a shot list. So I had to like, you need to do these things. And I was very descriptive. I gave them clear instructions. So some people sent me those. Other people are like, I'm not tech savvy, but I still would like to participate. I was like, great. Take a picture of yourself being a dead body. Send it to me.
Love it.
So there's a bunch of people just as dead bodies, which is amazing. So that one will be out. I love this because people they can participate, they can see themselves in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And our production is just going to keep growing. You know what I mean? So every issue that comes out, there's another short film that you get to watch to experience more of why this world is so crazy. In addition to every issue, you get a new comic and you get a new riddle to solve too. So those are fun too.
Yeah, I personally, I don't remember I think it was in the back of issue 1, the crossword puzzle. I quite like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my jam.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Well, the cool part is that if you get a physical copy, like the digital is great, you get to solve the PDF, but in the physical copy, there's actually something attached to the crossword puzzle that is a clue to how to solve the riddle.
Damn. So this is not just a comic book. You said it was a multimedia experience, but we've got the comic, we've got films, you've got puzzles, all sorts of awesome stuff. I love it.
So here's some of the things we have planned. So the first riddle, when you solve it, it will take you to a digital space where other people have also solved the riddles. And it's a great place to start because I always upload the next riddle there. And when you solve it, you go put your name and the date so you get your bragging rights of when you solve the riddle.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. And then all the riddles from there are now something different. So riddle number 2 is written in ASL. So it's written in sign language. So you have to translate the riddle first, and then you have to answer the riddle. And so you email me the answer to my email. I put it right across the bottom, and it triggers something to show up at your house.
Oh my God, I love it. Laurie, you are so creative.
So we plan on like hidden YouTube videos. I'm planning on like an old time radio show. I'm planning on websites to hack, phone numbers to call. It's going to be this whole rabbit hole you can fall into and really interact with the world if you choose to. So
love it. People are gonna go nuts for this, I think. Well, you've already got people. You've backed all 3. So far you're 3 for 3. Clearly you've got a fan base. What you're creating is definitely catching people's attention. Deservedly so. As a person who mostly just read the book, I was like, it's a good book. And now it's like there's so much more.
Yeah. And then we have a choose your own adventure book too.
Yeah.
I wrote this with the companion with like last campaign, and oh my God, it almost killed me. But it turned out really good. It's 60 pages, black and white, but it's illustrated by David Rodriguez. It has a spread cover from Marco DeFillo. Just amazing work. I'm going to show you a picture of one of the characters in here.
Please do.
What I love about this is that you get to meet characters that show up later in the story.
Oh, whoa, okay.
And they're terrifying. So you, the reader, will be like, Jude, is that the Skinner? Run, Jude! But Jude has no idea who the Skinner is. So you're going to have more insight into some of these characters than our protagonist will, because he doesn't know. So it's just kind of fun. I do have a save spot in the book, so if you get to about halfway, you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning and start over. You go about halfway. I took pity because there's like 8 million ways to die, big gory deaths. I love it. I mean,
let's
try again. There's some really cool stuff in here. Yeah, it will. There are some unexpected paths where you think you're doing the right thing and it just kills you. There is one path where you become undead and you keep going as well.
Ooh.
So it's interesting. And of course, it wouldn't be a book by Laurie Calcaterra unless it had a riddle at the end. So there's a cipher for you. Good times.
Yes, 100%. It's like I said, it's truly fascinating because the medium of comics itself is, in my opinion anyway, my humble opinion, I think it's the best medium for telling a story that's out there, because it cuts such a fine line between, a classic word book or prose, a film or TV show, and so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing what you're doing, you're adding to it, you're building a world, you're going to be able to give readers an interesting perspective where, like you said, they're going to know things other characters don't. And you can create such tension out of that it'll be wild.
Yep.
Thank you.
But and the other cool part is I'm so far ahead in the story that I was able to go back and put the seeds of what's going to happen in the second season in the first season. So you're going to see characters and have no idea that they're main characters in the second season. But once you meet them in the second season, you're going to be able to come back and be like, okay, this is where I saw that guy before. Now the scene makes way more sense because he's in it.
Nice.
So you're going to see it from one point of view, and then you'll be able to go back and reread and see all these other things that we've hidden in there. Easter eggs, we have cults in this world that their symbol is hidden in the background already. You're going to see all sorts of things. And not only that, Marco DeFillo has like a sense of humor. So he hides stuff in these comics all the time that has nothing to do with my sense of humor. I want to show you. It's before the fight in the second comic. But he has like a singing bass on the wall. And what else? So in the story, I wrote that the saloon in issue 2 was actually a hair salon that had been repurposed. Because people aren't doing hair anymore in the apocalypse. But you better believe we're still going to be drinking beer and vodka in the apocalypse, right? But if you look in the background, he drew in the salon chairs, the hairdryer chairs. There's people passed out in the hairdryer chairs in the story. You can see. See it here? That's a hairdryer chair.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then anytime you see here's people passed out in the hairdryer chairs, you'll see the mirrors that have the big lights across them, like they're inside of a beauty salon. He also, when he signs his name, here's the salon mirrors. When he signs his name, he draws these little gremlins. So he has them on the wall in the comic framed. I mean, he just has so many things in here. There's I'm from Texas. We're both from Texas. And one of the iconic things is the leaning cowboy. You know what I'm talking about? Where they're against the tree with their hat down with one leg up. He drew him into the comics. There's just so many visual scavenger hunt things that he put in here that are funny. He drew a toilet in a tree. It's hilarious.
I love it. It's going to give so many people so much stuff to... If they don't know what they're looking for and they just find it, they'll be like, what the hell?
Is that a toilet up there? Why is that toilet in the tree? But it's like you read it the first time and you're so enthralled in the story, you follow the story. But then when you go back and read it again, you're like, that's a singing bass on the wall. What the heck? You know?
The best.
Awesome.
So we are nearing the end of our time. So as a quick recap, what is the best way for folks to support you and follow you?
Please go to the Kickstarter campaign that is live until April 19th. Hopefully there will be a link for you to click on somewhere.
Links down below. Yep.
There you go. Click on that link below. That's the best place to go to support me at this time. It's also the best place for you because you get all the stuff that's kind of exclusive that you're not going to be able to purchase off of my website. If we're not an active campaign, head to my website, www.pathofthepalerider.com. You're going to see, usually when we're Kickstartering, I have a blog that nobody reads. Who cares? And of course, the store. So you can get those back issues when we're not actively campaigning. Follow me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Path of the Pale Rider. You can see a pattern here. That's the best place to follow because we do shenanigans in there. Like we were like talking about what you would wear in the apocalypse and like what's the best kind of weapon and pros and cons between like tasers versus guns versus machetes. We built a song list for the apocalypse too. It was really funny. So we have lots of fun in there, and that's usually where I dump my first updates is into that group. Okay. But I'm on Instagram. It's our Instagram and TikTok handle are the same. It's at Path of the Pale Rider with an underscore between all the words. So annoying. It's the longest handle ever. Twitter is at Path Pale Rider. I also have a podcast. I host a show called the Tuesday Morning Brew on the Comic Related Madness Network on YouTube. That's Comic Talk with Pops Van Zant. Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do very similar to this. I'll have guests on and I ask questions and I find out what they're working on and build the community and bring awareness to indie. So I'm all over the place, man.
I love it. Thank you. I'll have links for all of that down below.
Woo-hoo.
One question I always do like to ask is the folks who create comics are often themselves very nerdy and usually read comics or they collect figures or Funkos or they have something nerdy. What is the one thing, maybe not the most valuable, maybe not the most rare, but what is the thing, Laurie, for you that is like the centerpiece, the thing that makes you most happy? And can you show it on camera?
This is my new lovely toy my husband got me, which will remain in the box. Baroness from G.I. Joe. Because I look like her and I am deadly. I was like, someday, cosplay, 100%. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I got the hair and the glasses. I can fill in the rest.
Yeah.
In fact, my business cards are... there's an artist named Pete who does, like, he'll draw your face, he'll draw your likeness as a comic book character, and I am the Baroness on my...
Nice.
On my business cards. It's like an old, remember those collector cards from the X-Men that had, like, their stats?
Oh, yeah.
It's that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Where it's like comic book writing, like crafting amazing deaths, baking. Like, that's my skills.
That's fantastic. And
I know.
Congrats on the toy.
This was amazing when I unwrapped this at Christmas this year. I was like, woo, thank you. Happy.
What I would recommend for you, just as a very nerdy guy myself, I don't know how easy it would be to find, but I know you can get like a clamshell to encapsulate it. That way, like the edges don't get frayed and stuff. Just something to think about. Because clearly, like you said, you love that thing quite a bit. It unwrapped it in Christmas. So just maybe have a look, because it's a good way to keep the boxes safe.
Yeah, I have kids, so I'm going to do that. Because one of them's going to be like, Mom, why did you never take this out of the box and unbox it someday? And I'm going to cry.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I mean, that's kids, and toys are for fun, right?
Right, but they're like, I'm gonna play with this toy. I'll be like, no.
then in that case, Laurie, that brings us to our last question, which I hope is the easiest, and that is simply, who do you think I should interview next?
I have 2 suggestions. Ooh. 2.
Okay.
I have 2 friends that are coming up to Kickstarter campaigns who would love to talk with you. The first one is one of my besties. Her name is Carissa Grant, and she runs a comic called Worthy Chaos Redemption. She's a blast. She comes up with, her comic book is like Supernatural meets Romeo and Juliet with Silent Hill.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. She has the weirdest monsters you will ever see. Zombie mermen, giant salamanders, undead Anubis. I don't know where she comes up with these things, but it's like 90% action, 10% sarcasm. I love it. Right?
Okay.
So she's coming up. I think she launches her campaign April 18th on Kickstarter. And then another friend of mine, Brandon Starocci, he does another zombie book. Are you familiar with it, Brandon?
I've had him on.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a sarcastic bastard, but I love him. So Avalon is great. Like their series is the zombie apocalypse, right? It's an infection and it's running rampant. But he's focused on like this nuclear family, and they're kind of all split up, and a lot of bad stuff happens. And I'm just like, damn, he's killing everybody. It's a bad day, but it's one hell of a ride. And his artist is amazing. And for the longest time, Brandon wouldn't even tell us his name because he was afraid we were going to steal him. And we were like,
Fair.
You have him locked up in your basement? Like, what? You got to tell us his name. His name is Demetrius. We don't have a last name. So Brandon, if you ever watch this, goddammit, go feed Demetrius in your basement, please. He's hungry.
For the folks out there, 20 days ago today, my interview with them was released. Their campaign for, I think, issues 1 through 4 of their comic is coming out actually pretty soon.
Yeah, at the end of April, he's launching. I don't think he's picked a date yet. He keeps asking me to book him interviews. Laurie, book some interviews for me. I'm like, I'm busy.
Yeah, really. But yes, no, his comic will be fascinating. So people can pick up Path of the Pale Rider, turn around, and then they can go back Avalon for a very, like you said, they're focused on that platonic family, or the nuclear family, I should say.
If you back Path of the Pale Rider on campaign number 3, you actually get the PDF of issue number 1, Avalon, for free now, because one of Brandon's issue 1 is included in that PDF bundle. So can get that just by showing up, see what Avalon is all about, and then if you want a physical copy, and go get the rest of his issues when he launches, because he always, I say this, he should have a catch-up tier. Last time he didn't, and someone from the indie community like raked him over the coals on a live, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so awkward.
Well, I mean, hopefully he'll have that catch-up tier now.
No, after that, I'm sure he will.
Awesome. Then, Laurie, absolutely, thank you so much. It's been a blast talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Folks out there in YouTube land, click the link down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of Laurie, and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next
Please tell
time.
him what you really think. I'm interested.
Awesome. And we'll see you next time.
Golden age to present, digest to oversize. Never miss new comic day. Yeah, no surprise. So where's my no prize? Check the letter columns. Can't find issue 2? Yeah. Collector problems, cliffhangers, mysteries. You need answers. When did Batman become Green Lantern? I get it. True believer, not lying. Always up for an awesome summer crossover tie-in. High flying, full color or black and white. Splash pages, flashbacks. Whet your appetite with new costumes, team ups, first loves, first appearances, death.